The stars glittered in the vastness of space as the Galactic Empire's flagship cruised through the dark expanse, its sleek, menacing form casting a shadow over the galaxy. It was a machine of war, feared by all who had crossed its path. Now, the Emperor had set his sights on Earth. On Earth, humanity was just beginning to wake up to the terrifying reality. It started with a broadcast, simple at first, a warning sent to every communication system on the planet. The message was cold and direct. Submit or be destroyed. Across the globe, leaders gathered in tense meetings. The United Nations was in emergency session, as heads of state argued and shouted over each other. The message had come from the Galactic Empire, a name that had haunted the whispers of scientists and military leaders for years. But now, it was real. They had come to Earth. The Empire was an ancient, ruthless force, its empire spanning hundreds of worlds. The message was simple: pay tribute or face total annihilation. The first reaction was panic. The world's most powerful nations scrambled to prepare defenses, but there was nothing they could do. The Empire was too advanced, its ships and technology far beyond anything Earth had ever seen. The sheer scale of their power was overwhelming. How could Earth, with its limited resources, possibly stand up against such a force? In the grand halls of the United Nations, a tense silence fell. The leaders of Earth faced each other, unsure of what to say. One man, the President of the United States, stood up. His voice was steady, but the fear in his eyes was evident. They are demanding tribute, our resources, technology, and people. If we refuse, it's over. Earth will be wiped out. But just as despair was starting to set in, a voice cut through the room. It was General Charles Kane, a man known for his sharp mind and his unshakable confidence. "We don't have to take this lying down," he said. "We've been underestimated. We've always been underestimated. But humanity doesn't give up, not when everything is on the line." The room grew quiet. People exchanged glances, unsure if they should put their faith in a man who seemed to be offering hope in the face of certain destruction. But General Kane's reputation preceded him. If anyone could find a way to fight back, it was him. "You want tribute?" General Kane continued, his voice growing more determined. "We'll give them a tribute they'll never forget. Earth has something they don't understand: ingenuity. We have the ability to adapt, to think on our feet, to turn the impossible into possible. And we will make them regret ever threatening us." His words sparked something in the room. People began to nod. Then murmurs of agreement spread. Humanity was more than just a primitive species. They were survivors. They were resourceful. And if the Empire wanted to challenge them, they would fight back with everything they had. That night, the world leaders came together in secret. No longer was the question if Earth could survive. The question now was how to fight back. Under General Kane's leadership, a plan began to form. It would be dangerous. It would require every nation to unite in ways they never had before. But it was humanity's only chance. The Empire had made a grave mistake in thinking Earth was an easy target. They had failed to consider one thing: humans don't surrender. And now, Earth would show them just what it meant to defy the odds. The countdown to battle had begun. The air in the war room was thick with tension as the world's leaders gathered in secret, their faces grim but determined. The Empire's fleet was on its way. They had only a few weeks, maybe less, before Earth would be forced to either submit or face complete destruction. But General Charles Kane had a plan, a risky but potentially brilliant plan. "We don't stand a chance with our current weapons," General Kane said, his voice steady despite the weight of the situation. "We need to think outside the box. We need to use what they'll never expect." The room fell silent. The leaders of the world had been grappling with the same problem for days. Earth's military was powerful by human standards, but compared to the Empire, it was nothing more than a mosquito trying to fight a dragon. General Kane, a British Prime Minister, spoke up. "We have nothing left to try. Our best weapons are obsolete. What do you propose?" A small, confident smile crossed Kane's face. "We have something the Empire has never even heard of. A weapon hidden in plain sight. Something we've been preparing for years. Something that could change everything." The world's leaders exchanged curious glances. What was this weapon? How could Earth possibly have something capable of taking on an empire that had crushed civilizations across galaxies? Kane stepped forward. "It's called the Erebus Protocol," he said. "A network of defense technologies developed in secret long before the Empire even knew Earth existed. It's not just weapons. It's strategy. We've been working on it in small, hidden projects, and now it's time to bring it all together." He paused, letting the words hang in the air. Everyone in the room was now hanging on his every word. The Empire has underestimated us. They think they can just march in and take whatever they want. But they've never seen Earth's full potential. And they've never had to face humanity's true power, ingenuity. With that, General Kane revealed a holographic map of the Earth. Hidden deep underground in several locations around the world were military facilities, research labs, and workshops that had been developing new technologies for decades. These were not just ordinary military projects. They were advanced technologies designed to outsmart and outmaneuver anything the Empire could throw at them. The leaders of the world began to lean forward, their faces lighting up with a glimmer of hope. "This is our best chance," Kane continued. "We need to move fast. We'll unite our forces, share technology, and launch the Erebus Protocol in one coordinated strike. It'll be our first and final warning to the Empire." The plan was risky. The Empire had ships that could decimate Earth's cities in seconds. But General Kane's confidence was contagious. For the first time since the Empire's message, the world leaders felt a spark of hope. Over the next several days, the world's military forces worked together like never before. Countries that had once been rivals now shared resources, intelligence, and manpower. The Erebus Protocol required the cooperation of scientists, engineers, soldiers, and civilians. No one could afford to hold back. Humanity's survival depended on it. While Earth's military experts were preparing weapons, the top scientists were working on the most difficult task, studying the Empire's ships. How could they be defeated? What weaknesses could they exploit? Hours turned into days, and a breakthrough finally came. The Empire's fleet relied on a powerful energy network to maintain their ships' defenses and weapons. If that network could be disrupted, even just for a moment, Earth's forces could make a difference. "It's not much, but it's enough," a lead scientist, Dr. Emily Carter, said. "If we can cut off their power supply for just a few seconds, their ships will be vulnerable. We can hit them where it hurts." With this new information, Earth's forces finalized their first wave of attack. They wouldn't be going for the Empire's ships directly just yet. The first step was to cripple the Empire's communication and energy systems. A few small strikes, timed perfectly, would send the Empire into chaos, giving Earth's forces the opportunity to retaliate. But General Kane knew this was just the beginning. The real challenge lay ahead, facing the Empire's massive invasion fleet. The first strike would be their opening move, but Earth would need to prove that they were ready to fight, to survive, and to show the Empire that Earth was not a planet to be taken lightly. As the final preparations began, General Kane looked out over the gathered world leaders. The time for hesitation was over. The battle for Earth's survival had begun, and Earth was about to show the Empire that they had underestimated humanity's greatest strength. The countdown had begun. The Empire's fleet was drawing closer to Earth with every passing hour. Its ships, vast, intimidating, and seemingly unstoppable, loomed in space like a storm ready to tear apart everything in its path. But humanity was not standing idle. The Erebus Protocol was now in motion, and General Charles Kane's plan was about to be tested. The first wave of Earth's counterattack would not be a direct confrontation. Instead, it was a series of strikes aimed at destabilizing the Empire's communications and energy systems. The goal was simple: create chaos among the Empire's forces, disrupt their coordination, and buy Earth's forces the time they needed to make a more significant move. On Earth, the world's best pilots and soldiers had come together. They were ready, even though they knew this would be a dangerous mission. The Empire's sensors were powerful, and its defenses nearly impenetrable. But humanity had been planning for years, and their first target was an energy relay station, the Empire's lifeline for its fleet's power. A small fleet of stealth ships, cloaked and nearly invisible to enemy radar, took off from Earth's atmosphere. They were led by Captain Marcus Holt, a seasoned pilot who had trained for this moment his entire life. His crew was the best of the best, handpicked for their skills and their willingness to fight for humanity's survival. The stealth fleet approached the first relay station hidden in a distant asteroid field. The Empire never expected an attack to come from such a far-flung location. The ships weaved through the field, carefully avoiding the massive deadly debris that could easily tear their ships apart. "Hold steady, team." Captain Holt's voice came through the comms, calm yet firm. "We hit them fast, then disappear. No hesitation." The mission was a delicate one. They had to hit the station quickly and leave before the Empire could respond. With no room for error, every pilot was laser-focused. The stealth ships moved silently through the darkness, like shadows in the void. "Target in sight," one of the pilots reported. The relay station was just ahead, its energy pulse flickering brightly against the dark backdrop of space. "On my mark," Captain Holt ordered. 3, 2, 1, now." In a flash, the stealth ships unleashed their weapons. A series of precision strikes hit the relay station's vulnerable spots, disabling its communication system and causing the station to flicker with sparks and energy surges. Before the Empire could react, the Earth ships engaged their cloaking devices again, vanishing into the asteroid field. The station's energy went dark, and for a brief moment, the Empire's fleet lost communication with their central command. The attack had been a success. Earth had struck first. Back on Earth, General Kane watched the monitors, his face a mask of concentration. "Good work, Captain Holt," he muttered under his breath. "Now we wait." But the Empire wasn't stupid. They quickly realized something had gone wrong, and the first signs of panic spread through their fleet. Without communication between ships and command, the Empire's forces were disoriented. The power grid had been weakened, and their ships were momentarily vulnerable. Now was the time for Earth to strike again. As the Empire scrambled to regain control, Earth's military moved quickly to the next phase. A larger fleet, this one carrying Earth's most advanced weaponry, moved to the outer edge of Earth's atmosphere. It was time to test their new experimental technology, an EMP cannon, designed to disable large portions of the Empire's fleet by shutting down their power systems. The fleet moved forward, led by the Dauntless, a ship built for this very purpose. On board, Lieutenant Sarah Park stood ready at the control station. She was the best weapons officer Earth had. Her fingers hovered over the controls as the Dauntless closed in on the Empire's flagship. "Firing in 3, 2, 1, she said, her voice steady despite the high stakes. With a flash of brilliant light, the EMP cannon fired. The energy pulse shot forward, its target locked onto the heart of the Empire's fleet. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. The pulse hit its target, and then the response was immediate. Several Imperial ships flickered and went dark, their systems failing under the sudden surge of power. The Dauntless's EMP weapon had worked, and the Empire's fleet was thrown into chaos once again. The ground crew at Earth's military command erupted in cheers. This was a major victory, but it was only the beginning. General Kane's face broke into a rare smile. "Now we make our move," he said. "Earth's not going down without a fight." Across the globe, people watched in awe as Earth's military forces, once considered weak and outmatched, showed the true power of humanity's spirit, creativity, courage, and determination. The first strike had been successful, but the real battle was still ahead. The Empire may have been powerful, but Earth had proven one undeniable truth. They were not to be underestimated. The first victories felt like a breath of fresh air, but General Charles Kane knew the battle was far from over. Earth had struck the first blow, but now the Empire was coming in full force, and they were not going to be caught off guard again. Earth's military forces had been preparing for weeks, but the Empire's response was swift and ruthless. Their fleet, once disoriented and weakened by Earth's initial strikes, quickly regrouped. Their ships, massive and technologically superior, were now focused on revenge. Earth had awoken a sleeping giant, and the giant was angry. The first signs of the Empire's counterattack were the massive warships breaking through Earth's atmosphere. They dropped out of hyperspace with incredible speed, their weapons already charging. The dark, imposing ships filled the sky like a storm cloud, their presence a silent threat. They didn't need to speak to make their intentions clear. Earth would be wiped from existence. "They're here," General Kane said, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "Brace for impact." Across the globe, people stood in silence, watching the sky as the first Imperial ships began to position themselves above major cities. Earth's defense systems were ready, but there was only so much they could do against a fleet of this size. On Earth's surface, Lieutenant Sarah Park and the crew of the Dauntless watched the monitors with bated breath. The Empire's fleet had launched a full-scale attack. The EMP strike had only been a brief setback for the Empire. They were coming to finish the job. "General, we have to move now," Sarah Park said, her voice urgent. "We need to take down their flagship, the Ravager. It's the heart of their fleet. If we can take it down, we might have a chance." General Kane nodded. "Agreed. The Ravager is the key. Get to it before they can respond, and make sure our strike teams are in position." The Dauntless and a small group of Earth's most advanced ships prepared for their most dangerous mission yet, to breach the Empire's outer defenses and disable their flagship. If they could hit it hard enough, they might weaken the Empire's entire fleet, but they knew it wouldn't be easy. Meanwhile, the Empire's fleet launched its own attack, massive waves of missiles and laser fire raining down on Earth's cities. The first explosions were heard in the sky, and people screamed in terror as the Imperial forces began their bombardment. Earth's defense systems fired back, but the Empire's weapons were overwhelming. In the midst of the chaos, Captain Marcus Holt and his crew on the stealth ships launched their next strike, aiming for the Empire's central command ship. They used every bit of their stealth technology to avoid detection, moving in like shadows in the dark. They had to get close to the Ravager and disable its defenses before it could retaliate. "Stay sharp, everyone," Captain Holt said, his voice calm but tense. "We're almost there. One shot is all we get." As they approached the Ravager, the crew watched in awe as the massive ship loomed larger on their screens. It was a city in space, with towering structures and a menacing black exterior. The ship's shields flickered as it prepared to defend itself. "We're in range," said one of the pilots, preparing the strike. But just as they were about to fire, the Imperial fleet reacted. A blast of energy from the flagship's cannons lit up the sky, sending shockwaves through space. The stealth ships veered off course, narrowly avoiding the deadly blast. They had been spotted. "We've been compromised," another pilot shouted. "Abort the mission." Captain Holt's mind raced. They had one chance left, but the Empire's defenses were now fully active, and Earth's forces were running out of time. Back on Earth, General Kane watched as the battle unfolded. The Empire's fleet was relentless, pounding Earth's cities with wave after wave of firepower. His military was holding strong, but they were outmatched. There was no doubt the Empire's next move would be the final strike. But Kane wasn't about to give up. He knew Earth's only hope lay in their ability to outthink the Empire, to do the unexpected. And there was still one card left to play, a weapon so powerful it could change the tide of battle. "Get me the code for the final protocol," he ordered. The final protocol was the last of Earth's secret weapons, an experimental planet-wide defense system capable of sending a shockwave of energy into space, temporarily disrupting the power of the Empire's fleet. It was risky, and it could cause massive damage to Earth's infrastructure, but if they didn't use it now, humanity would have no chance. As the countdown to activation began, the tension on Earth was palpable. People watched as their cities burned, hoping that the weapon they had kept hidden for so long would be their salvation. This was it, Earth's last stand. The tension on Earth was thick, hanging in the air like the storm that threatened to destroy everything. The Empire's fleet loomed overhead, massive and unstoppable, and the cities below were already burning from their relentless assault. Humanity's last hope rested on a single weapon, the final protocol. If it didn't work, Earth would be destroyed, and all would be lost. General Kane stood before a large map in Earth's military command center, his face tight with concentration. The final countdown had begun, but the weapon's activation could have catastrophic consequences. If it succeeded, Earth's defense grid would send a powerful surge of energy into space, temporarily disabling the Empire's fleet, but it could also wreak havoc on Earth itself. Power grids, communication systems, entire cities might be torn apart in the process. "Do it," General Kane ordered, his voice resolute despite the heavy weight of the decision. "We have no choice now." Across the globe, scientists and engineers worked frantically to push the final protocol into action. With each passing second, the pressure mounted. As the weapon powered up, the air felt electrified, charged with energy that could change the course of history. On the front lines, the Dauntless and its crew were ready for one final assault. Lieutenant Sarah Park sat at her station, her hand steady on the controls as she prepared for their part in the mission. She knew the stakes. The Empire's flagship, the Ravager, was still in orbit, and they had one shot to disable it before the final protocol was triggered. "We hit them now, or we never get another chance," Sarah said, her voice firm. "Everyone, prepare for launch." The crew of the Dauntless was fully equipped and ready to go. They had been through countless battles, but this would be the most important one. They were about to take on the Empire's flagship, a ship that was practically a fortress, and disable its defenses. Meanwhile, Captain Marcus Holt and his stealth fleet, the same team that had struck first at the energy relay station, were now back in action. Their mission was to create a diversion, drawing the Empire's forces away from Earth's final strike. The stealth ships moved silently in space, slipping between enemy lines with precision. They launched a series of small attacks on the Empire's support ships, keeping them distracted long enough for the main fleet to launch its final blow. As the stealth fleet engaged the Empire's ships, the mighty Dauntless and its allies made their move. The flagship Ravager loomed large on their sensors. It was now or never. The crew of the Dauntless accelerated toward the massive ship, weapons primed. "We're in range," Lieutenant Park said, her voice calm but intense. "Firing all weapons." A barrage of laser fire erupted from the Dauntless's cannons, striking the shield of the Ravager. The enemy ship rocked with each blast, but its shield held strong. The Empire was not going down without a fight. On Earth, General Kane watched as the final protocol powered up. The countdown was nearing its end, and the weapon's energy began to pulse through the planet's systems. People around the world felt the Earth rumble beneath their feet, a sign that something massive was about to happen. Final protocol activated. The voice of the technician echoed through the command center. "The energy surge is imminent." Just as Earth's weapon reached its full strength, the first wave of Empire retaliation hit. A series of missiles, far too many to avoid, streaked toward Earth's surface. The sky lit up with explosions as the Empire launched everything they had left. But then, something unexpected happened. The final protocol's energy wave shot out from Earth's surface and into space, sending a powerful shockwave through the Empire's fleet. The surge of energy was like a massive pulse, knocking out power across the Empire's ships, including the Ravager. The massive flagship flickered as its power grid failed, and its cannons went silent. For a moment, the Empire's forces were stunned, unable to coordinate. Earth's final weapon had worked. The Empire's fleet was temporarily disabled, just as Earth's soldiers needed. "This is it," Sarah Park shouted from the cockpit of the Dauntless. "We have the opening." The Dauntless and its fleet launched their final assault on the crippled Empire flagship. The Empire's massive warships, once so formidable, were now vulnerable. Earth's forces pressed the attack, firing everything they had at the weakened Ravager. On Earth, the final protocol had triggered a wave of destruction. The cities that had already been ravaged by the Empire's assault now shook even harder as the energy surge affected local power grids. But the people knew this was the price of survival. Earth had to fight with everything it had. The battle in space raged on as the Empire's forces scrambled to regain control. But for the first time, they were on the defensive, and Earth's forces were closing in. The war was far from over, but humanity had shown the Empire one undeniable truth: they would fight until the end. General Kane watched the events unfold, his heart racing. The tide was turning. The Empire may have been powerful, but they had underestimated humanity's resilience and determination. The final battle was just beginning, and Earth was no longer fighting for survival. It was fighting for victory.